Hey, Jerry, good to see you. First one in the room, I've noticed. So thanks for joining. I got here a little early myself and just thought I would see who joined in. We might chat a minute, greeted each other. Uh, I've I've seen some churches creating this kind of chat space after their services, so I had this idea of coming a little early and just see who joins in. I think I see uh, I think I see Bess maybe coming in right now, and thank you that she's joining us, and a few others will be coming along as we just take a few minutes to gather. And there she is. Good afternoon, Bess. Good to connect with you. Wish we could see each other. But thank you for joining in today. I hope your morning has been whatever it needed to be, whether that be productive or restful or something else. I've been getting ready for this morning, for this time this morning, and working on my sermon. I'm going to tape it later today as we continue the work of Abraham and talking about what we have to do when we're not there yet. You know, that waiting time, that patient time. Next on Sunday. Hey, Shelley, Jade, glad to see you join us. I want to commend the men's group with the novel idea gathering. I think that's Saturday, is it not? That you're going to meet in the lawn and have share some time together with the men. I guess you're going to have some breakfast too. I don't know if I can join yet. I'm trying to. I'll be meeting with my neurologist tomorrow morning, and we'll be talking about what some of my next steps are as far as getting out and about. I pray I get loose a little bit. Hey, Cindy and Rich, good to see you join us. Thank you for for popping in for a few minutes. So it's hope it's been a good morning for you too, as I was wishing the others who came along are now coming in with us. Uh, I think I'm going to start these things a little early, uh, and that way, if people want to get here and chat a minute and greet each other, like Dorotha and Don just joining here now, you have a chance to do that. And and I may leave it up in just a few minutes. You, of course, when we're done, you can just simply sign out. But if you want to greet one another or speak, uh, feel free to use the chat for a few minutes before and afterwards. It's kind of like when we would do when we gather uh, at church and in person. Uh, so, so everything will be. Oh, you bring your own breakfast is what you're doing. Okay. I'll just have to see what kind of freedom I get with my doctor tomorrow. Hi, Don. Uh, Good to see you, uh, and glad to have you join. We're going to do the usual, wait a couple more. Obviously, we'll wait just a couple minutes after 12. Some people get here right at noon and take them just a minute to settle in, and so we'll give it, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes after the hour. In the meantime, we can just continue our gathering time. Uh, the As I mentioned before, I like this time. I think a lot of it is I just miss uh, having time to be with each other. Uh, Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. Uh, Thanks for joining in. Hope you're doing better. I think you're getting near the end of your round of treatments, and hope you're getting some good news about progress from your doctors. Uh, and you've been through quite an ordeal. We've all been praying for you. And Cindy, we'll be thinking about you next week as I go in and determine the extent of what you're facing. And our prayers are with you as well. It's a nice invitation, Dorothy. I really appreciate some of the small groups like yours and others who've stayed connected. Um, we'll have some conversations next week. The council's going to meet next week. Uh, no one could have imagined, what was it, March 22nd? I don't know, it's the 20th when we uh, made the decision, middle of March, that we're going to close, we thought, for a few weeks. Nobody could have imagined that we'd be this many weeks into it, and looks like we've got several more to go. With Austin extended its stay-at-home order, and it's just unbelievable. But we're having lots of conversations. And what else can we do to stay connected other than worship and small groups? I really appreciate the small groups. I've got some ideas I'm working on. I want to have my first podcast, and we're starting. I'm going to be recording that next week with one of our global missionaries, Katie Meek, who serves in Sierra Leone. We're going to try to do some different things, things that do keep us connected. I hope you picked up your yard signs. I haven't. I'm going to pick mine up in the morning. That's another way we can try to remind ourselves that we belong to each other. Maybe you signed up for a porch pal. You saw my silly video, and it's quite fun to share that. You would call us. We'll give you someone random, and you just go and do what you do. And reciprocation is no big deal. And if you receive a gift, don't worry about it. If you want to reciprocate, of course, call us, and we'll give you someone else. We're just looking for so many different ways to stay connected. We'll give it about maybe 30 more seconds, one more minute. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And we'll get started talking about how, what did Jesus mean? Well, at least one of the aspects Jesus might have meant when he said the truth shall set you free. And that's going to kind of be our focus verse today. Speaking of other things, I started a little web page, a blog page. I'll just give you, nobody really knows, it's not even public yet, called Who Is My Neighbor blog. And thinking about adding, how can we be mindful of serving one another in our community during this time when we can't be together. That's some other ideas that we're working on. We'll be talking more about that in the weeks to come, in the month of July. So, anyway, I think we should get started. Again, thank you for joining us. Do you remember if you can't join us live, they're always available for you afterwards, a little while afterwards on YouTube, on Facebook. You can watch the replay of that. But here, I want us to get us thinking about this idea of how the truth can set us free. Now, in our world I'm not speaking about our consumer world, our secular world, we don't have a lot of training in learning to let go of things. That's just not how we're conditioned. We've been enculturated with ideas that while we may give nod our head to this, that less is more. Truly, how we behave is more is better, right? Addition is the way to accomplishment. If you add things to your life, you're achieving, and that's you cannot avoid that. That is the waves of our society and world that we live in. That's just who we are, and so we kind of acknowledge that's our cultural bent. But we know we have a Christian faith that says instead of addition, the way to know, experience true faith is through subtraction, right? If you want to save your life, what do you have to do? You have to lose it. Jesus looked at his followers and said, if you want to follow me, you're going to have to take up a cross. That doesn't sound like the kind of addition I'd want to add. Jesus said to the Son of Man came what? To serve and not be served. When you look at the folks that Jesus associated with himself most often, Of course, it wasn't the rich or the mighty or the elite. It was the poor and the people of the land. And so when we start to understand that this whole idea of subtraction, of letting go, is really the key to experiencing faith, that takes some work, some real work. Because what we're doing is we're trying to break out of our small self by letting go of some things. What are some of those things? Letting go of power and control. Power and control over others, our family, our friends, our manipulation of people for our sake. I even see people trying to get power and control over God, which is kind of an interesting concept. God, I need you now. Did you hear the bell? I know I'm being overstating it. But power and control, our small self stays there, right? How about safety and security? Learning to let go of those essential things that we think are so important. And one of the primary ways that we create safety and security is not by walls or fences. We create safety and security by being right. Oh, if I'm right, then I'm okay, right? And if they're wrong, they're not. So I must be the one who's safe and secure. And I don't know about them over there. That whole dualistic division that we do in our world. But learning to let go of that need to be right so I'm safe and secure, to live with a little more ambiguity, it's hard. But the small self wants to hold on to safety. It wants to hold on to affection and esteem. The way we get affection and esteem is we have more stuff, more things, like I was mentioning earlier. And so now the fact that people go, oh, look at that boat, nice house. Oh, you see how we do? And we think that gives us affection and esteem. Now, I do want to acknowledge that the small self is essential in the early days of life, in our formative years. It gives us structure, and it defines who we are. And so eventually, so we get our sense about our own self. That's necessary, but we have to somehow and sometimes move beyond those things of power and control, affection and esteem, safety and security. For we have to move beyond the fact that the world just doesn't circle around me. I am not the center of my own universe. And much of the maturity in our faith is learning to let go of these things because it's not necessarily me, but it's bigger than me. So, when Jesus said the truth, you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Partly, I think what he meant was this. I think what he meant was, once you see the truth about yourself and the things you need to let go of, once you see those and you begin to let go of them, then you start to experience real freedom. Perhaps. Let's just get kind of real practical about that. Once you kind of let go of power, control, safety, security, affection, esteem, then when you're in the middle of a conversation or you're working through a difficulty with a group of people or you have or whatever it is, even something like a conflict, you don't feel the need to insert yourself in the middle of it or fix it or make sure your voice is heard. Another practical way of saying that is you don't feel a need to be thinking about what you're going to say because you want to be right and not listening to the other people around you. Because you've let go of those things. And you've started to live more into your truer self. For authentic spirituality is free of all those other things that have been holding you back in order that you can connect with others. Yet many refuse. Many refuse to move forward in this enlightenment. And here's part of the problem. Much of the religion that we learned growing up, much of the religion we learned was about what you should do, what you must do, what you ought to do. Very little of our religious teaching, if you grew up in a traditional church, was a pathway to freedom. No, if you do this and do that and do that, then you are going to be this. Anybody raise adolescents? If we're going to be law and order parents, all the time, they must do this, they ought to do that, they should do this. What did you get? You got normal reaction. It's called rebellion. Because the adolescent thought the way to freedom is not what I should do or ought to do or the law I should follow. The way to freedom is the way I want to be myself is I'll rebel, right? If that's true on a human developmental level, it's also true at our spiritual level. Much of our spiritual life, the people that call themselves by the name of followers of Christ, much of that are children and adolescents sitting in our pews. About me. I would like to have power. I'd like to have control. It's about, I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure. Please, please esteem me, love me. Or if it's not that, it's the adolescent behavior. Yes, I know what's best. I do think that's what Paul meant when he spoke to the Corinthians. He says, you're drinking the milk and not eating the meat. What is the meat of our Christian faith? What is the true, how are we our true self? What do we know that really works, that is true, that will work from beginning to end? What is the ultimate reality in life and in faith? Is it not love? We just say in very simple terms, God is one, God is love. If that is the ultimate reality, then I know I'm starting to live into my true self when I've let go of all these other things that we've been speaking of. And suddenly I'm free to love. Free to love the unlovable, the unlikable, myself, God, others in a way that's no longer about me, but about all of God's creation and all whom God gives us. And then that commandment that Jesus gives as part of his last will and testament in John 13, a new commandment I give it to you, that what you should love one another. And I don't know how you can really command people to love. Get along and love your brother and sister. It almost seems impossible to tell someone to love. But we don't have to be told to love if we've let go of all these other things that are holding us back from our true self. We just go, oh, okay. The new commandment, I got it. Love one another. For that's the ultimate reality. You should know the truth, and the truth will set you free, and it will set us free to love one another like never before. So practice letting go so you might love. Let's pray. God, we come before you on this day, thankful for the way that you have designed us and the place in which we place our feet and live our lives. You are a God of perfect love who continues to demonstrate it time and time again in your faithful and enduring ways. And for that we say thanks. Help us see the truth about ourselves and speak the truth about ourselves so we may let go of those things that hinder our ability to love one another. Grant us the opportunities this day and the remainder of the day to do just that. And bless those and all your children who make up this world you've loved, that you gave your only Son because of your love for us. In whose name we pray. Amen. Hi, friends. Again, thank you for joining. I saw Co get here a little bit late. Let's just call it just in time. Sue, good to see you. And feel free to stay around if you want to chat a bit. Remember, if you didn't see all of it, you can catch it. It'll be up on Facebook Live recording and YouTube Live if you want to see the rest of it. If you ever just don't get to see it. So I really wish everybody a good day. And it's good to be with you. Can't wait to be with you in person, hopefully soon. I know. Thank you, friends. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll leave the chat open for a few moments. Take care, Jeannie. Have a good day, Joe. Thank you, Don, for that summary. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. You too, Sandy. Have a good day, Koth. It was good. I'm going to close our chat down now. I don't know who's kind of with us, but I've enjoyed being with you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.